Hey everyone, welcome back to the Top 40 Favorite Movies list. This is part 2 of the video, and before this begins, this is a multi-parter series, so if you want to take a look at the previous 5 movies on this list, or want to know what the rules are for it, you might as well click the very beginning of the video, which will appear in the end slate, but also for safety measures, there is this card right up here in the upper corner you can take a look at. So, if you want to get caught up to speed with that, you might as well do that before watching this. I'll probably give you like 2 seconds to click on that video, watch it, and then come back here. So, I'll wait. Back from part 1? Okay, let's proceed on to part 2 of the Top 40 Favorites Movies list. Number 35. 9 to 5. If you were to ask me in one quick swoop what was my favorite chick flick, I would immediately say 9 to 5. Because so much happens in one go, but it's almost non-stop laugh, non-stop entertaining, goofy comedy that just works to its fair extent. I really love this film. The story is 3 secretaries have to put up with their boss who is, and I quote, a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. And they use that word a lot in this movie. But they have to put up with him, and they decide to get revenge on him by basically kidnapping him, holding him for a little while his wife is on vacation, and try and make the workplace more better so it's not stuck to this boring gray routine where everyone has to arrive at 9 a.m. and then leave work at 5 p.m. It is just amusingly hilarious, and some of them are even like creative. I mean, the fantasies that the female characters have. There's one portion where they dream it as if it were like a Disney film, a Disney princess film, and it's just flat out hilarious. And they even use animation for it, which, even before Roger Rabbit, it was impressive for when it came out. But overall, 9 to 5 is almost non-stop entertaining, humorous, characters are really great. Some of them you even root for, some of them you even hate. And overall, that theme song that plays at the beginning and the end of the movie, that'll be stuck in your mind for a good long while. And the lyrics, they can even relate to some people. But with these 9 to 5 jobs and these 9 to 5 lyrics and these 9 to 5 movies, or movie, I'm getting off a topic of how to end this review in general, but 9 to 5, it's really great, well worth the watch. Find it if you can on DVD or Blu-ray or any way you can watch this. It's just go see it, man. It's definitely one of the best chick flicks out there. Number 34. The Ghost and Mrs. Murray. Let me just say right now, this is a really emotional film. Like, one that'll tug you in the heartstrings and make you cry. It is that big and impactful of a movie that this film is. It came at a perfect time, but I'll get into what I thought about the film after I explain a bit of it. So, a young widow looks out and about to look for a place to call home. And she winds up looking at this house that's out by the sea, which everybody says is haunted by a dead sea captain, which she does not believe in ghosts. Until one night she winds up seeing the ghost of the sea captain himself, Captain Daniel Craig. And both of them start slowly hating each other, but as time goes by, they get a relationship going on, and they even talk here and there, sort of form a bonding friendship between one another. And even at one point, she begins to write stories about him. And I should stop right there, because if I go on, I may ruin the story. But also, as I've stated before, how I discovered this movie is an interesting trip, but it's one that really is a heart-tugging, tear-jerker movie on how it makes it work. It's Mrs. Murray and the relationship with the sea captain, with them forming a friendship, a bond between one another that never thought could ever happen between human existence. Does. They almost are inseparable. And even, like, if time passes by and they forget about them, they, like, even when the time comes, and I won't dare give it away, like, almost the near end of the movie or anything like that, it's just crying and heart-tugging, really depressing, but at the same time, it's that special kind of blend and mixing that just makes the story in general really good. I like The Ghost and Mrs. Murray. The film stands out in a special way, and if I were to make a category for favorite drama films of this decade, this would definitely be number one. Not only for its lovely cinematography, but perfect casting of the sea captain and Mrs. Murray, and in general, just the astonishing story and the directing of the film, which, oddly enough, is directed by the relative of film historian Ben Mankiewicz. In general, what I'm trying to get at is The Ghost and Mrs. Murray is a classic example on how to make a really, really brilliant emotional drama. I almost feel like without it, dramas just will never be the same. It's rare that any film of this magnitude can ever really make me cry. But this film, it nailed it. It really, really worked. Really, I don't have much negatives about it. It's just overall, The Ghost and Mrs. Murray is a perfect love story for the time it came out. It should never be remade in any given fashion in Hollywood, in any given way. The film is absolutely perfect in every syllable of the word perfect. Number 33. Wayne's World. Based off of the skits from Saturday Night Live, but was also created by Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, Wayne's World is practically the best of the 90s comedies you can get. Basically, it's about two boys that run their own show on public access, and they broadcast from their basement just outside of Chicago. And it's from there that adventures, parody, hijinks, all the sorts ensue. You've got a lot of things in this movie, like Wayne's show being bought out by a major company to help promote arcades. There's Wayne meeting Cassandra, being stalked by his ex-girlfriend. You've got a random cameo by Patrick Stewart, fresh off of Terminator 2. You have, like, Alice Cooper and Bohemian Rhapsody, which actually boosted the popularity of Queen, no less, after being used in this film. The best way to describe Wayne's World without giving so much away is 2 words. Pure gold. That's really all you need to say. Really watch it. Pinnacle of the SNL alumni of movies, what little there is, but in a much grand scale of it being a film based off of SNL, it works to its fullest extent and definitely is one of my favorite comedies of the 90s.
Number 32.
So, it's really hard to narrow down what is the best coming-of-age John Hughes film. Like, if you ever saw his films in the 80s, like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or even Pretty in Pink, he is a great writer. He was known for writing some of the stuff for National Lampoon, but his teen films of the 80s is the best and the most well-known if you were to look up teen films. It was really hard to narrow it down. Between both Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it's hard to choose one. They're both really amazing films. One shows the development of characters from the stereotypes that we know in high school that is prevalent to this very day. While Ferris Bueller's Day Off deals in the fact of how life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop around to look once in a while, you may miss it. And as I've said, it's really hard to narrow both these films down and which is the best of the best. John Hughes is a big comer. He was big for his time in the 80s. But out of all of them, I'd have to pick Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because it came out around the perfect time where I was transitioning from middle school to high school. It came on TV. I decided I want to watch it because I was curious about John Hughes and the films he's made, and this was absolutely a wonderful, well-put-together film. Now, for the plot of this movie, it basically focuses on a teen that has all these big sicknesses that all over Chicago, and even in his high school, people are praying for him. They are like, save Ferris Bueller from his sickness number 1740. And it's just basically him skipping school, just kicking back, relaxing, and even at times talking to not only his girlfriend, but also one of his best friends, Cameron, whom is quite literally sick. And one day he basically decides that he's going to just drive into Chicago for a whole day and just spend all the time looking around the sights of the city. At the time he makes these movies, he knows what teens are going through. He understands them. He basically made these films almost like a passionate heart. They are the most highly rated films that should never be forgotten in time, and even teens to this very day will watch these films. If you catch them at the right time and the right attention, of course. But with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and why I like it ever so much, it's just the relatable story, just teens skipping school, because at one point in our lives, we've always wanted to see what it's like if we skipped school for a day and just kicked back, relaxed, had fun, all that. But we wouldn't dream to have that happen. And this film sheds the light for us on that. It's just in general, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is great, memorable, great casting, great music selection, very understanding of teens in this time and age. It works very well. It'll be memorable towards future generations. It's just an astonishing film that is worth the checkout.
Number 31.
Full Metal Jacket. We can all agree this is one of Stanley Kubrick's finest films. No more, no less. And every person on the internet's basically talked about it, and it almost leaves me the feeling that it'll be pointless to talk about this one, but since it's on the list, I might as well express my opinion on it. The main focus of the story is on the character Private Joker, who also does the narration during the movie, where he transitions from a normal being, going to boot camp, then to being a journalist, and then a full-on soldier on the front lines in Vietnam. What I see of this film is the dehumanization of man, at least the synopsis for it. You go from a regular human being to this lethal killing machine with a sick sense of mind and a twisted sense of humor. At least that's what I see out of this film. Like I said, many people have described this movie already, and I feel like I don't really need to say a lot about it. But if I'm to give big pluses, definitely the first 50 minutes of the movie where it takes place at boot camp with R. Lee Ermey as the drill instructor, all of it works really well. Vincent D'Onofrio's performance in it really does stand out. One of the finest, one of the best moments. Another thing is that the dialogue is memorable, not only at the boot camp, but also in Vietnam. I don't really need to say them, because basically, there's videos of these quotes online, so I don't need to describe them here. It's just overall, Full Metal Jacket is a brilliantly well put together film that not only has that sense of humor that works well to the film's extent, but also serves a really good purpose. Unanimously agreed on, instantly quotable, great set, music selection. Full Metal Jacket is definitely one of Kubrick's finest films in his career. And so that'll do it for part 2 of the top 40 favorite movies list, and really, I hope you guys are enjoying what I'm working on so far. I'm doing the best of my speed and knowledge to work on these videos so that they come out on time at the end of the month, but I'm really getting pushed back by this job, and it's really not going to be that easy to do this, but whenever they come out, they'll come out. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this portion of the video. If you want to talk about the films I selected, then comment below, let me know. Or if you have basically a film that was made by the same person that you also want to talk about, like for example, you want to talk about Barry Lyndon, which is also from Stanley Kubrick, then comment down below. I like to read comments. And I would also like to mention that I also have part 1 of this 8-part series up, which you can click right here at the top of the video, but I also got another playlist for all the Movie Fridays I've made in the past, which you can also take a look at. Again, depends on what I put into these end slates, but hope you guys enjoyed the marathon, and I'll see you guys for part 3 of this crazy 8-part series. So, I'm the Frobe Guy, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!